Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, powers health.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and the last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
Experience a better way of home building with McFarland Homes. For over 25 years, McFarland Homes has been crafting high-quality homes right here in Northwest Indiana. Founded by Ron McFarland, our team of experts is committed to building homes that stand the test of time. Discover the comfort of a McFarland home in beautifully planned communities like Park West in St. John and Beacon Point West and Cedar Lake single-family community. With options like open floor plans, spacious master suites, and sun-filled Florida rooms, there's a McFarland home that's perfect for you. McFarland Homes, building a better way of living.
Cherish every moment. Enjoy every aspect of life. Laugh and smile. Family Dental Care loves what we do, and it shows in every smile we make. Attentive, respectful doctors listen and use advanced technology to pinpoint the problem. Patients are then in and out with same-day service. Let Family Dental Care protect your teeth so you can focus on what's important in life.
Visit our website at FamilyDentalCare.com for an office near you to request an appointment.
Good morning, Northwest Indiana. How's it going? You're listening to Bob Starkey here on Friday morning on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana, streaming live on the YouTubes. Brent won't be in today, so you get myself, you get Lynette, who is chatty as always, and I don't know, maybe Jim will pop in here in a little bit. Let's get right to traffic and weather. You all know I am the best traffic man in the region. And having said that, everything looks fine. 894, 65, everything's looking good. It does look like there's a slow up on 94 at Indianapolis, heading westbound, but there's no indication as to why. 30 and 41 look good. Going into the city right now looks good. Skyway, everything's looking good going into the city. Lynette, how's the weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 61 degrees with highs of 82 and lows of 63. It's going to be mostly sunny today, and then tomorrow on Saturday we'll be having highs of 80 and lows of 67. Should be pleasant with intervals of clouds and sunshine. Then Sunday we'll be having highs of 88 and lows of 70 with sun and areas of high clouds and warm and humid.
Gross. So this morning, I thought last week we were still in the absolute throes of tens of thousands without power, the entire region. I don't even want to say that we were in recovery. I think it was still a shock trauma this time last week where some folks were lucky enough to have had power restored, internet restored. We're starting to dig themselves out of everything that they had, perhaps in their yard. Communities were still organizing, trying to figure out, who's going to pick up the branches, and just the cleanup effort was just starting. So today I get in here and I think, okay, what am I going to talk about for a half hour to start? It almost felt as if, and not to diminish any of the chaos from the last 2 weeks, but it started to feel like every time I would get on social media, every time I would open up any of the news websites. It was just constant storm coverage. And for a moment, I said, this is starting to feel like the Bears story, where we all remember 6 months ago, it was wall-to-wall coverage, Bears all the time. And I thought, I got to say something different here. So I come in here and I thought, well, I'll take a look. Head over to the NIPSCO outage page. And I think it was a page that most likely at this point, everybody had their browser just automatically bookmarked this page in the region. All probably 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 folks now have it bookmarked that they're looking for. I log on today, 61 customers. I mean, I get that there is a push to say, hey, municipalities, you didn't do your job. NIPSCO, you didn't do your job. Comcast, AT&T. I'm hearing some of these folks are still without internet, and it's all above ground stuff. It's all single run lines to the house, and it's just going to take a while for some folks. And you have to get the new poles, the new power. You have to get all that done before these communication companies can come in and throw up some wires. And so again, people are still going through stuff. But to go from 300,000 a couple weeks ago, down to 200, down to 100, down to 80, down to 60, down to 40, down to 30,000, thousands, we're talking in the thousands, down to 61. I think that is I don't know, this may even sound weird. I think that's just a testament to the blue collar workabout folks that live in Northwest Indiana. Whether we're talking about all the guys at BP out of 7-1 they're just wanting to go back and do hard work. They want to be paid fair. They want to work in a safe environment, and they want to do hard work. Same thing with these linemen. I often tell there's a story that I had when I was an intern at NIPSCO back truly 25 years ago. Just as an intern, they said, "Yeah, what are you interested in doing?" And I often tell a story. I got halfway up a pole. I did not get halfway up a pole. I got maybe 2 feet off the ground. I don't even like a 6-foot step ladder. And I said, "Nope, I want to be a gas guy. Get me underground." And for anybody that had power out, that was looking out the window, that see these guys climbing poles in bucket trucks, they were starting in the morning, well into the night. How many of you at 1 in the morning would hear the power kick on? Well, it doesn't just automatically kick on. It means there's someone out there working. So I said, there's got to be some way to thank these guys. I don't know what it is. I don't know who is going to do that. Some folks may say, well, they get paid for it. That's thanks enough. But this was such a widespread calamity. It was something that we will be talking about, just like when Jed comes in here and he's so involved with reporting and memorializing the flood from years ago up in Munster and all around the locale. This is going to be talked about for the next 20 years. And I think in this moment, we just got to say, hey, the guys that restored the power, again, you can have all your thoughts about, hey, this town did or didn't do this company did or didn't do this. But at the end of the day, it was the folks in the field that were picking up the trees, picking up the limbs, climbing the power poles, stringing your electric back. They deserve a lot of credit. And like I said, I think it's just a testament to the hardworking folks here. My gosh, that sounded awfully political. Like it was the hardworking folks. No, but really, it's all of these guys that were out there putting up power, they didn't have it themselves. And for all the folks who came in from out of town, I get they're road warriors. A lot of them. I suppose if this was 200 years ago and we were on sailing ships, they'd be the mercenaries that we brought in. But they're coming in from New Jersey, the East Coast, down from Florida, coming in, and they're doing great work. And so I guess that's my little 8-minute hey guys, I think we're out of it now we can get into that recovery phase. I know for Dyer and some of the other communities, we've brought in all sorts of help, all FEMA coordinated. The amount of work it takes to clear the parkways of the trees is incredible. I mean, the amount of crews. I think we've got 7 in Dyer, scaling up to 12. Now, these are, if you've seen the pictures on social media, it's basically a 2 large open dumps that look like semi-trailers almost. They've got a grabber in the middle of them, and they take up the entire street. They're all painted black. It looks really ominous. But they come down there and they just pick up trees like they're toothpicks, and they throw them in the back. And I'm going to assume that what I'm going to say here applies to all the communities, is to get your branches out to the parkway, and they'll clean them up. If your town isn't doing that, shame on them, but I think they all are at this point. So yeah, I don't know if 219-845-1100. Call in all day. We're here till 8 or 8:30. If you've got something you want to talk about, we can make it an open line Friday. I don't know that there's so much going on with the recovery efforts. People are digging out, and yeah, if you want to talk about that, there were a few people I had noticed that said they were worried about scammers. These fly-by-night folks that knock on your door. They haven't been registered with the town or the city that you're in as someone who can work there. And magically, all these roofing companies appear, or tree landscapers appear. Tree and or landscapers, not a tree landscaper. So the Attorney General has set up a website. Head over to their website here. Let me get that up real quick. And they have an entire fraud task force out there that if you feel that you've been a victim of some type of fraud or scam, you can go onto the Attorney General's website, and it's in.gov/Attorney General. Head on over there, and we know that there have been folks out there attempting to scam people. Unfortunately, it's always the folks that you would that in your mind, when you think, oh, who's going to get scammed, you immediately think of seniors, the elderly, some of the vulnerable folks. These people are professionals. So, if you've got someone in your life who you think may be susceptible to that, give them a call and say, hey, if someone knocks on your door, get their information if you want. You don't have to. That's the biggest thing, too, is if someone knocks on your door, you do not have to open your door. You just don't. Some of these folks out there are reputable companies just going door to door because the entire Tri-County area has been devastated. But you really got to watch out for some of these scammers. They will, they'll say, well, if you pay me up front, we can get it done tomorrow, and then you never see them again. And the worst part is they probably didn't give you good information to even file a complaint. So just be mindful of that. What I tell folks in Dyer is if you have a question, if you have any questions whatsoever on, hey, this person knocked on my door from company ABC and they said they're going to do this, call the town. See if they're registered to do business in your community. If they're not, then they shouldn't be doing business in your community. If they are, then they probably passed some type of check to at least, verify that they're a valid company. 219-845-1100. Give me a call. Otherwise, you're just going to hear me talk about power and NIPSCO all day long. There was a really good article in the Times yesterday about we've seen all of these different groups, all these in the last week or so, even a few, I'll call them celebrities or so, have started to lend their voice to the outage situation, specifically in North County. But some folks have started to donate money. I believe the Bears organization donated some money. Hard Rock donated some money. There was an article yesterday that NIPSCO is donating $2 million to the disaster relief, and they're suspending disconnections after the August 11th storm. NIPSCO is donating the $2 million to the Legacy Foundation, Community Foundation, and Unity Foundation to help with recovery efforts. And good on them. Good on them for doing that. We had COO and President Vince Parisi on last Friday, talking about some of their challenges, some of the stuff they're going through. And look, there's no bones about it. They had this was just such a widespread issue. They had some problems going, and they obviously worked through them. We've got 61 people out of 700,000 people. I think that's like 300,000 or 400,000 customer meters. So only 61 out. That's fantastic. That's like a rounding error. So that's great. So to see NIPSCO step up and put $2 million into that. I know it's easy to say, well, yeah, they should be doing that and everything. And there's a time for that conversation. But for these organizations, Legacy Foundation, Community Foundation, and Unity Foundation, I have zero doubt that that went right into the coffers and will be going out to food, water supplies, everything that those organizations do. But enough about that. We can get back to that later because you are calling in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
I went home yesterday. I went all the way from the north end of Dyer all the way down to the south end, and I did see the big black bomber truck, and yeah, those guys ain't playing.
I gotta tell you,
no.
I need to just like follow one for 20 minutes and post a video. If you haven't seen them out there, they are massive, big, imposing. They take the widest turns. I mean, it really looks like some military operation. But man, they can clear a street in no time. It's impressive.
Oh, they were clearing Hart Street on my way through, and Dyer's getting cleaned up quickly. This ain't gonna last forever. It's gonna get cleaned up. I mean, Dyer's starting to look good. So
yeah, I'll still get messages, text or phone calls or on Facebook and say, hey, they haven't gotten in front of my house yet, and it's like, trust me, we are doing.
They will.
We're doing a handful of laps around the town. Nothing is going to be left there. Right? And I get it too because I remember at one point in time there was one storm I don't know years ago that I had branches in front of my house for what seemed like 2 weeks. I was at that point they're all dried up. I was like, dude, if this catches fire or something, I don't know. And they'll come and get it. Yeah. And so it's easy to see that. Oh, they stopped at this house and then they ran off. Well, they probably went to go empty the load. Trust me, here's the politician on the microphone saying, "Trust me," but truly, nobody's going to leave these branches just sit there, And the only thing I can say is, if you want it moved quicker, move it from your yard to the parkway. I know a lot of folks were leaving them like in the backyard because they're waiting for insurance adjusters, but if that's done, get them to the front, man. We've got these massive military beasts that are, they're impressive.
Yeah, no, it's shaping up good. I just think I'd say another week or so it'll all be cleaned up. That'll be that.
Internally we've been talking, and because of the speed that they're moving, we've been saying, hey, that by this time next week we may be done or close to it, which really is impressive. Yeah. When you consider everything that was, that they had to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and here, I'll just give you one more fuzzy feeling. You were mentioning how NIPSCO donated the big $2 million.
Right.
So if you break it down, they gave every Lake County resident about $5.20.
Ooh. I can go to McDonald's. No, I can't. If no, anybody's watching, that pays for my coffee. And that's when you look at that, and I can't remember how much Hard Rock gave, but they gave some. My guess is probably 100,000. I think the Bears gave 100,000, maybe a handful of folks. So let's just say all in, these foundations got $3 million. Let's just say we're rounding up. When you calculate it out like that, it is a couple bucks. And I suppose for folks like you and I who maybe we were out of power for a few days and maybe it was an inconvenience and we had to replace all this stuff in our fridge and all that. the hope is that money goes to folks that were really, really put into a bind. And, I was...
that's the thing with all this money coming in. A lot of these... you know how it is. It's kind of like when they were taking care of all the people in Chicago, coming up. They give all this money gets poured into these vendors that charge these outrageous prices,
right? And
it really never makes it to the people. So, you know the stories I'm talking about.
I absolutely do.
So,
this is how weird my life can be. I had a call yesterday from Elise Nishala, who is the Indiana State Comptroller. Any check that is cut by the state of Indiana to include all of this, emergency dollars, all of these FEMA dollars, everything comes through her office, and it's her signature on it. And I was talking to her yesterday, and she said they've figured out the plan to get these FEMA dollars into the hands of the residents, into the pockets of the pockets sound bad, into the hands of the municipalities to start doing that. But they said there's a real concern for fraud. People need this money now, so you want to expedite getting that money out. But in that, with like the COVID money, if there's no guardrails on it, man, all the money just goes to everybody. And it's like, well, we want it to go where it needs to go. And so what they're working on is trying to find that balance between verifying the need and then getting the money out. And because we all know that there's going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars available. And that's fine. That's what FEMA dollars are for. They're for disaster recovery. But there's folks out there that are going to say, well, I lost everything in my house, and really they lost a gallon of milk, and they're going to try to claim $5-10 grand. So that's a concern. So that'll be interesting to see how that rolls out. And with any government program where they're just, I don't want to say just handing out money, there's a need, but there's always a concern for that fraud, waste, and abuse. And that'll be interesting to see how they do that.
Yep.
But
everybody don't always have good intentions, Bob, and you know how it is. So.
I do. Hey, thanks for calling in. You have a good weekend.
Have a good one. You too.
Bye-bye. Next caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Yes, is Dyer paying for these monster trucks to pick up the branches off the curb? Or is that somebody else?
So this is how it works, and it's actually pretty interesting. So the answer is yes and then no. So the answer is we put out the money first. So these companies that come in, they're all associated with various FEMA groups. So they've got these big trailers that come in. All of the limbs, everything is weighed. So they know exactly how much has been picked up. They will then weigh the mulch. They will then verify by even photograph where the mulch is then taken and deposited. The entire thing is very heavily documented. At that point, then all of the paperwork goes into, I'll just call it FEMA processing, and eventually, honestly, my guess is probably 12 to 18 months out, the municipalities will get that money back that they spent, and including any money that they're claiming. For example, Dyer was on generator power for some of our wastewater plants, some of our emergency lift stations. We will be able to charge that money. That they set a value to that. So let's say you have a 16 kV generator running lift station A for 8 hours, and they have a value. They say, well, if you have one of those type generators that's running this for this long, it's $100 an hour, and you can basically bill back $800. So on the municipalities, we have to do a ton of work which we're grateful for, because we'll get maintenance money back, and all this recovery effort back. It's just a matter of documenting it all, sending it off, and like I said, being in some of these meetings, watching how the process works, knowing how government works, my guess is 12 to 18 months before the municipalities start seeing some of the FEMA money back. But, that's why you have rainy day funds. I know the state treasurer is working on short-term loans for some of the communities. to bridge the gap, and then when they get the FEMA check, they just pay it off and it's done. So there's some ways around it. But so to your answer, yes, right now, as Dyer Construction was hugely helpful in Dyer. We would we'll be cutting them a check and get reimbursed at some point in time.
Do you send your bill directly to FEMA, or do you have to send it to the state first, and the state then talks to FEMA?
So to be honest on that process, I'm not exactly sure how that works. We've brought in some consultants, and what they do, think of them as grant writers, where part of the FEMA reimbursement is for consultants to ensure that your paperwork is correct. So, like I said, not unlike a grant writer where they'll get paid from the grant, so these consultants will get paid from FEMA dollars. And they've done this. So one of the guys we brought in, he was, I don't want to mess up his title, but he was one of the emergency directors down in Florida for 30-some years. And if there's any state that has dealt with natural disasters and FEMA dollars, Florida's probably at the top. So we feel pretty confident in the folks we brought in. But to your answer, do we send it to the state or to FEMA? I don't know what that process looks like. But it's not unlike medical coding. That's why you bring these guys in, because of one of the examples they said was you could ask for 6 of something and get denied, or you could ask for half a dozen of something and get accepted. Not unlike medical coding, it's just how you word it. And we're not experts. A lot of these.
You're geeking out on this, right?
Oh,
you are geeking out
I do.
hard.
I love this stuff. I know. Lynette,
so is Walt.
Lynette told me 2 minutes ago to take a break, and I'm into this.
I understand your FEMA, and I understand Walt's. Walt, as a business professor, he's asking all these details because he wants to put it together in your head, right, Walt? I mean, you kind of like this stuff, right?
I'm looking to be hire myself out as a big consultant. I'm looking to make big bucks off of this.
Well, you probably could, to be honest with you. I mean, I've argued with of all the people that I've argued with over the years, you probably put together the most cogent arguments, to be honest with you. And I've gotten you mad and you've gotten me mad. But Lynette's going to make us take a break. So I'm going to stop the two geeks from going on anymore. So thanks, Walt, for your call. All right. There you go. Hey, Lynette, you get your break. We'll be right back.
Indiana wants me. You're a Hoosier serving in the military or living overseas? Indiana wants every eligible Hoosier to participate in our elections. Military and overseas voters can register and vote securely from anywhere in the world. Voting assistance for service members, families, and eligible Hoosiers is available now. Visit IndianaWantsYou.com or contact your county election office. And remember, Indiana wants you. Message sponsored by your Indiana Secretary of State.
Indiana wants me. Hoosier fans, your defending national championship Indiana football team kicks off the 2026 season on Saturday, September 5th. Join head coach Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers at Merchant Bank Field at Memorial Stadium as they take on the North Texas Mean Green, with kickoff at the Rock at 12 p.m. Tickets are sold out throughout the 2026 season, though you can visit IUHoosiers.com and purchase yours today through SeatGeek, the official fan-to-fan marketplace for IU athletics. Cheer on your Hoosiers to victory all season long.
When your home needs help, the last thing you need is a faceless corporation or sales-driven franchise. At Myers Companies, we've been proudly local since 1951, born and raised right here in Northwest Indiana. We're family-owned and operated, built on trust, hard work, and integrity. And because we're family, we treat you like family. Your comfort and safety always come first. For HVAC, plumbing, and electrical done right, choose Myers Companies. Local, family-owned, here for your family.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
St. Nicholas Byzantine Catholic Church, located at 8103 Columbia Avenue in Munster, celebrates Divine Liturgy every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. We are Eastern Rite Catholics in union with the Pope, the Bishop of Rome. All Catholics who celebrate Divine Liturgy or Mass with us fulfill their Holy Day and Sunday obligations as they do in their own churches. Join us in person this coming Sunday to find out the beauty of a Byzantine Catholic Divine Liturgy at St. Nicholas Church.
Welcome back. Lynette, how's the weather?
Dude, never prepared yet.
All right, I got the traffic.
How's the traffic, Jed?
294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good to Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. In terms of the weather, really is a beautiful morning. 64 degrees right now, goes up to a high of 83, but a lot of sunshine coming our way. Brent Brazier can't make it this morning, so you asked me to sit in. I appreciate it.
I did. I begged and pleaded. It's like, Jim, my God, man, I can't do this alone. I need you.
You know, since I don't do this anymore in the morning, I have so many podcasts. I think I'm on that. I think I do more now than I did when I had the live show. I love it. Yesterday I did the Naira podcast and a marketing podcast. One of my favorite is What Makes the Cow Guy Cry. And what we're doing is we're talking to people who've had tragedies in their lives and how they've dealt with it. And it's, you know, at first it was just to kind of help the cow guy out, but now I'm like into it. I went to Gallagher Way at the Cubs yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
And met some of my old friends, and I didn't realize that, you know, one dude's son had killed himself in the military, and I mean, I'm like this, like, you know, kind of, what do you call it? I'm trolling for people who've had bad things happen in their life.
Troll.
I'm a misery troll, but it really helps people. I've had people tell me they're crying in their driveway.
There's something very cathartic about not only, you know, sharing, because everybody's got something. Everybody's got something. So there's something very cathartic about sharing that. But then also, like you said, when you're in your car, or, you know, at your home listening to the podcast, listening to it and saying, okay, I'm not the only one out there who's had, you know, because sometimes life sucks and it's just the absolute worst, and it's dark as night, and everybody's got story. I'm sitting here thinking, you know, the tragedy of losing my mother and how that happens. Like, you know, everybody has something that's just awful. And
tell me about it. I mean, I'm learning that, and you know, we basically try to talk about the recovery period. We go through it. You know, a number of people, including Michelle Henderson, shared. You know, basically the losing two babies long time into the term, and basically having to give birth to, you know, two non-live babies, and it was like, what did that mean, and how did you deal with it? I mean, that's just one of many. Bob Grand, the Republican fundraiser, sharing the story of his dad getting hit head-on on Ridge Road by coming back from the mill.
Yeah.
And they put him in a bag and thought he was dead and took him to Methodist. Some orderly just happens to check his pulse and he's still alive.
Wow.
So they pull him out of the bag, and there it is, and whatever. I mean, now, how do you deal with that? That's the key. But, I don't want to talk about that. I want to tell you, you're talking about FEMA. Now.
What a segue.
Yeah, exactly.
What a segue.
I've listened to What Makes a Cow Guy Cry. It's just kind of a weird thing I've gotten into, and it's helping people, I guess. So here's the deal. FEMA, they've declared us a major disaster area, right? So when we had the flood of 2008, I don't even know if it was all like private donations, but it was pretty much a small area along the Little Cal. Yeah. It was mostly Munster, a little bit of Gary, a little bit of Hobart, a little bit of Highland, not much Hammond, but it was kind of small.
Yeah.
So we held a fundraiser at Centennial Park. WJOB was part of it. And the Munster Civic Foundation helped with that. And I just don't remember FEMA, anybody having to navigate that. Well, this is probably 300,000 residents all could apply for FEMA funds. So yesterday I called my insurance guy. I said, well, what does this mean? How do people get the money? And how much money should they ask for, right? And then I called another guy that is non-government and geeking out on it like you. And then a fireman from Munster came up to the door of my daughter's house where I was babysitting, and he handed me a flyer about, hey, FEMA this and FEMA that. So that's going to come to everyone. Well, here's what I got out of the insurance guy. He's like, listen, most people have a house. You go, you put your insurance claim in, and your insurance guy's not going to cover everything. And there's going to be a deductible, right? There's certain things they won't cover, like water in your or maybe some water in your basement, but some will, some won't. Certainly there's a deductible. Certainly you've lost a lot of trees. Your lawn's all ripped up.
Yeah.
A lot of times they won't go into the details of, well, you bought a generator you're going to use elsewhere. Well, I mean, there's a number of things that you had to pay for, including loss if you worked at home and that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff won't be paid for, but that could be, a lot of that could be submitted to FEMA. I don't know about the loss from your work, your job, but you submit it, but you have to have a ton of documentation.
Yeah.
Here's the picture, here's the receipt, here's why I want to get paid for it, and can you give me money? Now that sounds like a lot of work, and I'm going to read you Chuck Pullen's post, and Chuck is not wrong, and everybody feels this way, but Pullen, who's kind of tinfoil hattish as it is, but once in a while, like he says, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean you're wrong.
Yep.
Well, on this one, he might have something. Here's what he says. What's great about this delayed federal response is that the private sector was able to come in to do the bulk of the cleanup and repair before FEMA can show up with layers of bureaucracy and regulation to derail the process. President Trump will eventually claim that he came in and saved the day. Everyone will score their political points, and several $1 billion will be added to the debt while accomplishing nothing. So business as usual. So what I say to Pullen and everybody else is we should almost have like training sessions for the next few weeks. And I don't know how we would do that if it's just like a special podcast that, all right, here's what you do. But the insurance guy that is mine, he's like, here's what we really have to worry about is that it is a long bureaucratic process.
It is.
And it's federal government stuff, and there's a lot of people that don't even want to ever deal with them, right? But that money is there, and it needs to be accessed by local people. And you have to go through the process. You have to do it right and submit it. And then you give your bank account, and I don't know, at a certain specified period of time, it could be 3 weeks. Could be 3 months. It could be, like you said, 18 months. But if some bureaucrat in some office looks at it and says, that looks real, then that's the end of that's the bureaucratic process. I mean, what are the rules? I'm like, well, what exactly are the rules? He goes, well, I could tell you that, they have certain codes and stuff inside their computer programs, but really that's kind of how it works is it goes into some cave and it either comes out or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, so you have to submit. So what the insurance guy said was, here's the danger. A lot of people are not going to do that. They just don't want to go through the hassle. They don't think they're going to get any money. And it's a bureaucratic nightmare. So what I could say to everybody is, you know what, I'll do a little bit of the homework and I'll make sure it gets presented. Certainly the different towns are going for the money because you have to.
We have to. Our 5-week estimate was $640,000. And
that's lower than I thought. Munster hired the guy to remove all the stuff for $1.25 million, I think. So you guys are half of that on
with the same trees. Munster.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
No, but I mean, that's just that portion
right.
of Munster.
And how we came up with that is we saw we really just took, okay, what has this cost us in the first few days, and just run that out 5 weeks. But my guess is it's probably going to be closer to $1 million.
Yeah, and you will maybe get $750 out of the feds and then $250 out of the state, right?
Yeah,
that would be the hope.
Yeah,
but there is a long period, and the state's going to have to come up with that loan fund because nobody has that kind of money laying around.
Right. There are communities that just will not have the ability to drop $1 million here in the next really 6-8 weeks, because these contractors are going to. I guess that's why I was speaking with State Treasurer Daniel Elliott, and he said they're working on. He runs the Indiana Bond Bank and some other state loan programs where they've got billions in reserve that he's working on a way to loan that out to communities with the expectation that it's an 18 or 24 month when it comes due, basically when you get the FEMA money.
Now, that's on the municipal level. That's very small audience outright there.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
What I'm talking about is to you. If you had a little bit of damage, you need to submit that to FEMA.
Right.
I mean, and it needs to be inundating FEMA. They're not used to this.
No, and
I mean, they've had hurricanes is probably the biggest one.
The hurricane, and that's on the FEMA level. And I don't know that they have the exact process nailed down yet, but I believe that will go. The FEMA dollars will come to the state, and then the state will distribute it. And I think the issue that the state is having now, because that's all going to go through Homeland Security, is their system isn't scalable to the large, the large amount of claims that this is going to be. For folks up here who now have internet, and you've got power, you've got internet, you're getting back to the world.
I don't. But anyways, go ahead. I want to bitch about it
Munster,
in a little
right?
bit here. Yeah.
Is there has been some extreme flooding in central Indiana. The White River has crested. I want to say it was 24, 25 feet above the highest crest. There were bridges, infrastructure knocked out, homes gone, massive flooding in central Indiana. So when you go file these claims here, you go to IN.gov, Department of Homeland Security. You can fill out some of the individual assistance claims. They'll say, pick which August disaster, and is it the storms or is it the floods? And up here, we're the storms.
Now that's the state.
That's the state money.
That's the state money.
That's the state money.
You see, here's where people, and I didn't understand this either. The insurance guy walked me through it. He goes, there is the state money, and you need to apply for that, but you also need to fill out the FEMA application.
Right.
And it's just like throwing a balloon in the wind. Who knows which way it's going to blow? It could blow your way. Now, I asked him, practically, where is, what do you get out of FEMA? You're going to get $40 grand out of them or whatever? And he's like, well, honestly, from what if you keep it under 5,
yeah,
they kind of just, all right, here you go, right? So, I mean, from what I understand, now, what is the practical number? Someone that works for the federal government has to tell us this. All right, everybody has a lot of damage that's not covered by the insurance. They just do. There's disallowables on every policy, right? What's the number you want to come in at for the feds just to sign it and not go into it too deeply, right?
Right.
That's what I want to know. It's like, I'm guessing and I held the insurance guy. I said, well, come on. He goes, well, probably if you come under 5, you're going to get, you might get it, right? So ask AI, what's the number to come under? It's because you could submit 20 or you could submit 4,500 to stay under 5. I don't know where what do you really want? You would really like that 4,500. Your insurance isn't going to pay all that other stuff.
Right.
And some of it's like lawn and some, your maybe your driveway got chipped or something like that, or you had an uninsured car in the driveway that got a tree on it or something like that. But anyways,
here as you were talking. So I had heard that in the last couple of days they started to bring all this stuff online. If you go to disasterassistance.gov, disasterassistance.gov. That's the process to apply for individual assistance for FEMA. Disasterassistance.gov. And I agree with you. We should here today or Monday or so get a short 20-minute podcast together to walk folks through that. I think that would be very good. I just went in and I typed in 46311. That's Dyers. It has you select the severe storms.
You got to choose whether it was the tornadoes or whether it was.
So here I just put in 46311, and the event is severe storms, straight line winds, tornadoes, and flooding. Click that, hit next. What's your county? Select next. It does look like I won't hit play now. It looks like they do have a video that says what to expect before applying. To complete the application, you'll need to give us information on your needs, create an account, with the government, and finish and submit your needs there. So disasterassistance.gov. I'm doing it as I'm talking with Jed, so there's not a whole lot of brain power going into it. It looks fairly easy.
All right, so let's break down what we know. First of all, like Munster gave a handout yesterday. The fireman came to the house, and the little guy was so excited. Oh, that's a real fireman? Yeah, I'm like, that's a real fireman, yeah. But so disasterassistance.gov.
Disasterassistance.gov.
Now, what was the other one for the state?
For this,
yeah. You should also do. You basically should do 2 applications.
Yes. So for the state, that one was. That's more of a Google search, only because it's in.gov/DHS for Department of Homeland Security, and through there you will see emergency management and preparedness, and you can go into the individual assistance claims.
All right, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the individual assistance claims. Now, listen, we're not experts in this.
No. And what's
but
the thing that they always say with financial advice? Consult your financial advisor.
No, there's no one to consult. I'll be honest with you. There's nothing there. I mean, right. My insurance guy's like, dude, I got 40 claims I did since I went to your house. Yeah. I mean, and that was just a few days ago. He goes, I'm done. I'm really busy. I go, well, come on, give me 10 minutes. So he walked me through all of this. You have it from the municipal side. Lynette's going to cut this up and play it and put it up as its own podcast, all right? But we need to know more. Somebody locally knows this whole system. FEMA and the state. The little practical things, like how much should I give? I should probably give less to the state. And, I mean, I don't want to double. Now I got 2 claims. Yeah. What am I going to do? Ask for the same thing on both of them? So going back to Chuck Pullen's post, he's right. The complexity of the entire thing is kind of
certainly bringing in the federal government. That's the first thing people want is they say, hey, come help us, save us. Everybody knows FEMA because they've all watched and lived through the TV of watching Katrina, and they all want FEMA. They want it there. But with great power comes great documents. And the concern is always fraud, waste, and abuse. So it's, when that much money is available, there's going to be issues. So they try to lock it down, which just means dragging out the process.
Well, let's have... Even if we got one extra person to apply for the money, and I'm just going to paraphrase what the insurance guy said. Hey, I've been through all these in Florida. He was from Florida. Hurricanes there all the time. He goes, what happens is people are like, screw this. The process is too complex. I'm not going to go for the money. Yeah. Let's not do that. It's money we've paid in taxes that goes to the federal government.
And it's your money anyway.
It's our money. Go get some.
Yeah.
And bring it back to the region, fix your house up, fix your car up, fix your driveway, all that stuff, the federal. And honestly, I think part of it is just here's some money because it was so awful. And, what you were going through.
Yeah.
Let's access that. Let's make that a mission that we're going to talk about this as boring as it could be, especially for people who weren't in the storm. They don't care, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's people in Whiting where I went to Cal College 7 days because they had power and internet,
And a
so
great
did
view.
all of most of 119th Street, and it was like business as usual.
Yeah, when I talked to Randy Niemeyer, I said, "Hey, how's your district doing?" And he said, yeah, but we've got some, but you get, Lowell South, they weren't, that was fine.
Yeah. All right.
Relatively speaking.
So I know she wants us to take another break. Then I'll come back for one more, and we'll take some phone calls, and then I got to go.
Sure.
Sound good? Thanks
Works
a lot.
for me.
All right, guys. Be right back.
Need clean energy without the junk? I'm Jim Diedlow. I used to live on burgers, football, basketball, baseball. Now I'm gluten-free and more into biking, golf, and yoga. But I still need energy. That's why I love Paradise, developed by Emily D. Edwards right here in Cherville. My favorite is Paradise Packs Strawberry with gluten-free pretzels. Find it soon at Strachan Van Til or at spreadparadise.com.
Free summer music is still rocking at Fox Point. Our Wednesday night concert series brings Trippin' Billy's, the 1985, Elton Jeff and the Honky Cats, Mike and Joe, and Dick Diamond and the Dusters. Friday Night Lights brings you Gold Dust Dreams and One of These Nights on August 21st, and Mexico and El Corazon on September 4th. Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is just minutes from I-8094, and parking is free. Visit foxpoint.org for our full schedule. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
Get ready for Wings Rock fun and prizes at Wing and Roll. Friday, September 25th from 5 to 9 at Bulldog Park Pavilion in Crown Point. Sample wings from Northwest Indiana's top chefs. Vote for the People's Choice. Enjoy live music from Backstory NWI and win incredible prizes. Tickets are $75 with tables of 8 for $575. Every dollar helps support Mental Health America of Northwest Indiana. Get your tickets now at mha.rallyup.com/WR2026.
For over 140 years, the Central Midwest Carpenters have built our communities in Northwest Indiana. Are you ready to join the effort? We have long-term work, competitive pay, and the best benefits in the industry. We pride ourselves on innovative training and commitment to worksite safety. Earn as you learn as an apprentice. A solid career built on a solid legacy. For more info, go to carpenters.com.
IBEW Local 697 electrical contractors bring the highest standard of electrical work to Lake County homes, schools, and businesses. From everyday fixes to once-in-a-lifetime builds, we don't just get the job done, we get it done right and up to the highest safety standards. When you need electrical work, hire the professionals who power Indiana. Powering Indiana, Lake County, bringing excellence to the job, creating a brighter future for our community.
Welcome back. I'm Bob. Jim stepped out again. He'll be back. Lynette's doing all her clicking of buttons back there. Quick look at traffic and weather. Traffic, 8094. Let's see here. Give me 1 second here to pull this up. Looks like there is a crash on 80 eastbound between Klein and Kennedy. Crash 80 eastbound between Klein and Kennedy. That is slowing up traffic. Looks like that's backing up all the way past Broadway, almost up to 65. So keep an eye out for that. Crash 80 eastbound between around Kennedy. Everything else looking pretty good going into the city, slowing down, 94, 55, 294. I don't know the names of those because I never got the map, and it doesn't say those. It just says 94, 55.
94 is a Borman up the gut of the Southland. The Dan Ryan is it happens after the merge there. The main thing to look at is that the Borman's all screwed up. That's, hopefully it's, there's not major injuries. I don't know. We'll see if what Goddard has. He's working right now, so he probably didn't post it. But it's like two different accidents, right? One near I-65 and then one near Klein Avenue. Yeah. So good luck for everybody along Ridge Road. It might help the businesses as more cars go by, but that's it.
Eastbound on the expressway is not looking good.
So I know we went through some rather deep stuff there about FEMA and the state and so forth. Let's see. You got Chuck pulling up there? Yeah, let's see what Chuck says, huh?
Hey, Chuckles.
You said my name 3 times, and I appeared in call-in studio.
Ooh. So what's on your mind, buddy?
This isn't the Rob Kendall show. You're not going to be statewide. You're just here in the region, just so you know. You're like a Rob Kendall.
We're not even broadcasting now. This is like handing your little brother the remote that's not connected to anything. It's just, go ahead, Chuck, talk about the debt, and we let you go for 20 minutes.
Let me tease Monday's show. Hang on. Let's segue. Let me tease Monday's show. The first hour, we're going to talk about the $40 trillion in debt with an expert on debt. So good segue.
I saw that on one of the national publications, and the whole article was about why are we not talking? Why is traditional media and social media? Why is nobody talking about the $40 trillion in debt we just got to?
It's such a big number.
And that's why you tune in to WJOB, because we're going to talk about it first thing Monday morning for an hour. That's why you tune in to your local radio station while you're making fun of me for all the hard work I do, because we are going to talk about it, unlike everybody else.
Hey, Chuck, I'm going to read you. I'm going to read your post. I mean, let's talk about this. I mean, you and I disagree, and I call you the tinfoil hat guy, but every once in a while, it doesn't mean you're wrong. What's great about this delayed federal response is that the private sector was able to come in to do the bulk of the cleanup and repair before FEMA can even show up with the layers of bureaucracy and regulation to derail the process. President Trump will eventually claim that he came in and saved the day. Everyone will score their political points, and several $1 billion will be added to the debt while accomplishing nothing. So business as usual. Back that comment up, will you please?
The bottom line is that when FEMA comes in to manage a disaster, they often mismanage it. I mean, we saw that in, where was that, like North Carolina and stuff like that. So, I mean, the idea, so put it this way, and I think Bob will 100% back me up on this, the idea that Bob got to manage Bob's town and his crisis without a whole bunch of people from Washington showing up and saying, no, Bob, you're doing it wrong. No, Bob, you can't do it that way. Bob came in, and just like you guys mentioned earlier, Munster brought in the private sector, NIPSCO brought in extra help from the private sector, and people that knew what the hell they were doing got to manage this crisis. And guess what? It took a little while, but it got done. It got done right, and it got done under local management, which is exactly, I mean, again, we talk about, I wish we had a more organized command structure. I wish we had more communication, but at the end of the day, the local people got to manage their crisis. Bob, am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. The fact that I could just call on several of our contractors that we use and Dyer Construction, Arbor Masters, and say, hey, I need you here now. And we were clearing branches with a contractor the next day. The day of, it was later in the day, we were using public. The next day, we had them in because we could do that.
Did you tell people about how you have to weigh your debris yet? Because I think that's ridiculous.
We talked about that. Yeah. So what is your point going forward? Here's the thing, Chuck. I agree with you, and they're late, and they're offering, do you need food during the, we're past that. This is so late, but there is millions, tens of millions of dollars available there. And I'm advocating for people to apply for that both at the federal and state level because it's our money.
Yeah, get it. You paid for it.
Yeah, you paid for it. And
I agree.
I agree with your comments about the inefficiency, but it's almost as if, in my mind, we have to accept that, hold your nose, fill out the applications, and see what kind of money you can get. You can't just reject it because it's inefficient.
You know where I lived in Munster, basically ground zero of the flood, right? You agree?
Mm-hmm. I know.
How many dollars do you think FEMA gave me, and how many months of jumping through hoops and filling out paperwork do you think I had to do before I realized I wasn't getting a GD dime from our federal government, even though I was at ground zero of the flood? How many dollars do you think I got from them?
I'm guessing by the tone of your voice that you got zero.
And do you know why I got zero? Because here's the thing about the federal government that people need to understand. the more responsible you are, a responsible adult you are that has multiple, in my case, I had different insurance policies. I had backup riders. Being the responsible adult that I am, I went and sat in a tent for 8 hours and filled out 100 pages of forms and then came back and had an appointment, had another appointment that took time away from me cleaning up my house. And finally they said, oh, well, you got everything. You're covered. So essentially, if you are a responsible adult in this country that saves money, has insurance, does things the right way, your federal government says, no, take a hike. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody not to fill out the forms. You're right. Let's all fill out the forms, especially if you have the time and you have the inclination, and ask for help will help you. But just know that those of us that were at ground zero of the flood in Munster in 2008 basically got $0 if we had our own insurance and took care of the problem ourselves.
So, Chuck,
now, that's not to say that some of our neighbors that needed help didn't get help, and I'm sure they did. But at the end of the day, the average person in Munster got a big fat goose egg from our federal government while they're saying we're here to help you.
So
just like Ronald Reagan promised us.
On disasterassistance.gov, that is where folks can go apply. While we're sitting on the air here, we started some of the process. Just say, okay, I put in Dyer zip code. You selected the event, and we stopped just shy of actually, applying for anything. But there's a 2-minute video that we watched during the last commercial break, and for those of us that understand government and key words, they really emphasize that. Hey, keep receipts, document everything, take pictures, all this stuff that you would think that you would need to file a claim. But that was after the portion where they said, you also need to send us all of your insurance information, what was accepted, what was denied, and they'll use that. So that goes along exactly with your story of, hey, if you had insurance and, yeah, maybe you paid your deductible, but you have insurance and these extra riders and it covered for everything, that's when the government said, well, then you don't need us. So you're right. So for the 320,000 meters that were out, which is probably 700,000 people, not everyone is going to get a check, because a vast majority of folks, again, if you've got a house with a mortgage on it, which is like 88% of the people in Lake County, you're going to have homeowners insurance on it. So it's just going to be a matter of, perhaps my insurance denied this claim because of some reason, so maybe FEMA would pick that up. But if you've got well-rounded coverage, you might not get a lot, if anything. And the video almost states that.
Of the flood. But just remember, I was in a floodplain. I had flood insurance, et cetera. So in some sense, I did get federal dollars from being in the floodplain. Again, this is a different kind of disaster. So I'm not going to speak as an expert on that, because what I was dealing with was a flood event, a backup event, et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, I would say anybody that has extraordinary damage, absolutely file. But that is just how our federal government works. If you're a responsible person that saves money, works hard, pays your taxes, guess what? You get nothing. If you're irresponsible, have 10 kids, et cetera, how many checks do you want? You know what I mean? Like, that's how our federal government is set up, and that's why we're $40 trillion in debt. That's just the reality of the situation. Again, I don't want to discourage anyone from filling out the forms. I've just been dealing with this for so many years. I know how it works.
Hold on a second. All right, so let's ask. Are you going to fill out the forms this time around?
No, I'm not. I would rather not take money away from my neighbors that maybe don't have insurance, maybe had more damage. It's not like you said. You made the joke. Maybe I'll fill it out for $4,999 just to be funny. But no, I wouldn't waste my time. I would lose money and I would waste time filling out those forms. But if they're neighbors that had extraordinary damage, absolutely take your time. And if you're getting in trouble, find us. We'll help you fill it out. We'll help give you guidance. But no, I wouldn't waste my time.
Well, that's just it. And that's kind of what we're talking about. There are people. One of my neighbors has a $9,000 deductible. He's like, well, I never thought anything would happen, so I got a high deductible, right? Well, from what I understand, FEMA wants to know that, and they may reimburse you for that. And there are a lot of things with sump pumps and flooding that some insurance companies aren't doing. So maybe you submit that.
Yeah.
They won't touch driveways, or they won't touch lawns or
whatever
even,
it is. Yeah,
whatever it is. So I guess what I'm saying, Chuck, is that
we don't want we want people to go get that money. They're bringing it back to the region.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. It's $5 billion that would end up going towards bombs anyway, so we might as well use it for something useful locally. You're right. But then your neighbor's going to get a $9,000 check from FEMA, and then the IRS is going to turn around and go, well, now you owe us $10,000 for your income. You know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous. And, you know, we're $40 trillion in debt, and we might as well just get our popcorn and enjoy the show, because it's just comical how inept and corrupt our federal government is, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm glad that they weren't here to screw up the response, and I'm glad people like Bob and our local government were able to manage the response without a guy from FEMA saying, well, you know, it is Wednesday. There's too many Georges on this job site for a Wednesday, and you guys can only eat vegan meals on Thursday because of climate change. So I'm glad that FEMA isn't here, and I hope they come later, and I hope they write checks. I was just making the point. I'm glad that they weren't here to manage a local disaster and screw it up and make it last twice as long as it needed to. I'm glad people like Bob were able to fix Bob's problem.
All right, thanks a lot, Chuck.
And speaking of local, you're listening to WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. It is 7:05 in the region.
Thanks, Chuck. Bye. I mean, he is getting, you know, when we were setting up this TV thing 10 years ago, and we're in the back, and we're putting in servers and all that stuff, we had long discussions, and he is really calcifying into just in a complete disgust with how our federal government runs. At the beginning, it wasn't that. It was like, I want to look at it, I want to fix it. Now it's like he's thrown up his hands, and he's just like, this is awful.
It's tough. When Chuck's our tinfoil guy, but he's also, you know, not wrong.
Yeah, you know what? There's people waiting. We got to do that. Hey, 219-845-1100. Hey, you're on the air.
Morning, Jimmy.
Hey, Dave. What's up?
Lunch menu, Dave from over in Evanston.
How's it
Via
going?
Griffith. How you doing, Jimmy?
Good. What's up?
Oh, hanging.
All right, we lost him. Sorry, Dave. I can't. You're in and out, and that is a problem on radio. All right, let's go to another one.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Hopefully your sound comes through. Hey, you're on the air. All right, that's not working either. All right, let's go to the next one. Maybe it's us. Maybe our phones are out. Hey, you're on the air.
No, it's not you. I hear you loud and clear.
All right. How's it going in Miller? How's it going in Miller?
Very slow. There's still a lot of houses with no power. I just got mine Wednesday at 10 a.m. I'm happy to have my lights back on. Anyway, Kathy was reading me an article yesterday. This is exactly what Chuck said, that some of the dollars coming to Gary, I'm just going to speak about Gary, because I don't live in Crown Point or Griffith. Most of the money is going to the uninsured or underinsured to get them on their feet. And
that's what it looks like.
It's right what Chuck said. It's right what Chuck said. If you're responsible, people that are being responsible and paying their bills and getting the extra riders, you know, and are getting penalized. And even though, like your neighbor, right, $8,000 deductible, you know, that's a big hit for anybody. When most people don't have $1,000, most of the population doesn't even have $1,000 in their savings account for emergencies. That's a lot of money, you know. And that's what I'm running into that myself. A tree fell on the gazebo, Jed, and screwed it up.
Oh, wait a second. How about the shower?
Yeah, exactly.
How about the shower?
Shower's still good.
All right, good. Because my
your granddaughter knows exactly where it is.
We can't go to the beach without her going up the stairs and going to the outdoor shower. She just can't get over.
By the way,
yeah,
the stairs are destroyed. There's no more stairs. They're completely destroyed.
Oh, what about you? What about
right?
What about your handiwork along where you put all those rocks and stuff inside the cages?
Gabions, that is covered in about 10 feet tall of branches and wood. That's where we had to put it. Because it's filled up. We already filled up the front.
Oh, man.
Yeah, all that stuff had to come down.
And what happened to the
Anyway.
gazebo? I mean, this wasn't just your average gazebo. This thing's massive. I mean,
No, it's custom.
Yeah.
And I inherited that when we inherited that when we bought the house, and I actually found the builder. But yeah, it was the whole thing was listing at about a 30-degree angle. A big ass maple tree fell on it. So
you
yeah,
had.
I mean,
Is it destroyed?
hey, nobody got hurt.
All right.
It is repairable. How about that?
Let's
But,
go back to this.
I have a pretty good deductible myself.
So let's go back to this. So here we are advocating people to go to FEMA and to go to the state. And here we are, two people that don't really agree politically are having the same opinion that if you pay your bills and you have good insurance, you're not going to get anything. It's just going to go to the people who were not as responsible. So
Right.
I mean, I don't know what the right thing to advocate for. I mean, honestly, should we be on here going, hey, if you paid all your bills and you're getting your money out of your insurance and there's some residuals and you got a $2,500 deductible, maybe you'll get that back, but it's probably not worth your time. Even
Well, no one's
submitting
asking you to
this.
make a decision, Jed. No one's asking you because you're a victim as well. I mean, this happened to you. When did your power go on? Monday or Tuesday?
Monday night.
Yeah, Monday night.
So, all right, hold on a second. No, put yourself in my position. Here we are in WJOB. I'm trying to, I got to decide what are we going to do with recovery efforts? What are we going to advocate for? Should we be advocating to submit to the federal government so that you get money? Or should we be saying, it's not worth your time. If you're insured, I wouldn't even bother. I don't know the right thing to do, and that's in that.
I filled it out. I filled the federal and I filled the state out, and there's a couple others. What's the word? And it really, these are pretty good forms. I mean, they're pretty easy. They're not 22 pages Chuck had. I mean, it's a few pages on
the website.
We did it on our phone because we don't have Wi-Fi. It's not that difficult. It's very basic. We have an adjuster coming out today. Looking at multiple properties. And that's really. I'm following Kathy and I are following the rules. But to throw money at people that are irresponsible, this is a stretch, but we'll equate to it. Like the Gary School Corporation, right? Per child is the highest in Lake County per child. They get more money than anybody. So, but they still have a D- average. Now you're throwing money at something, and that's been the philosophy of the federal government, right? Just throw more money at it, but it's not doing any good. And it's just, to me, it's just not. They're not being allocated right. It should go to responsible people, right? Make sure the seniors have a roof over their head. Make sure they have food and shelter. That, to me, that's first and foremost. I got lucky. We had minimal damage to our house, but the structures around it are destroyed. But what can you do? To get out of this whole thing with minimal loss of life and limb, to me, is absolutely extraordinary that all of this happened. I mean, yeah, we had one fatality in Miller. Her name was Paula. She actually had a name. Yes, she was homeless. Yes, she was a panhandler, but she was harmless. And a big hunk of roofing material fell and killed her. You didn't hear about that because she was homeless. I could hear, first of all, it's like, I'm just going to leave with this, and I think both you will agree. It's when you start filling these forms out, it's like you're being re-victimized again from the storm. Yeah, it's just, and I hate to use the word, it's not fair, because that sounds childish. But again, you do everything right, and it's like you get penalized for doing everything right. And to me, that's where the system fails. That's where it collapses on itself. So,
hey, I just want to mark this moment. It's 7/12 and near the end of August in 2026, and Dave from Gary and Chuck Pullen agree on something.
Mark it down.
Absolutely.
I'll see you. Bye.
Chuck and I, believe it or not, we talk a lot, and we agree on a lot of things.
All right, man. I'll see you. Thank you for all you do. All right. Let's take one more. One more, and then I'll go. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Hanging in there, Jimmy.
All right, Dave, what do you got to
Hanging
say,
in
buddy?
there.
What's going on?
So I'm doing okay here in Evanston these days. Planning to come down to Griffith next weekend for Rock and Rail. And speaking of which, thank you ahead of time for being a reference for a new job I'm applying to also.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
So yes, actually applying to this Northlight Theater that's opening up in Evanston in about a month.
You're the perfect person for that job. Have you ever seen Lunch Menu Dave without a smile? No. Always smiling, always happy, perfect to work in a public environment like that, right?
Yeah, and who knows? I might even get the chance potentially if I get in over there to network with Tim Kazarensky from let's see. I think amongst other things, Saturday Night Live, and I think also the assorted. I think it's Chicago PD.
Yeah, he's been on Chicago PD.
Chicago Med, Chicago Fire.
All those Chicago ones, yeah.
So,
all right, man. Hey, Dave, are you when you come down for the Rock and Rail, take a look at all the damage in Griffith, man. You will not feel good
I've been
about
getting
it.
videos from one of my friends that showed some of it, admittedly, and I'll be visiting my brother that lives down there.
Well, I could tell you
I'm
this:
hoping
the videos do not tell half the story.
And Kuziak.
All right.
Hope to catch up with you and Kuziak and hopefully a lot of other people.
All right, Dave. Thanks a lot, Dave. I'll see you when you come down for Rock and Rail. Hey, guys, I'm going to head out. Do you mind? Do you know where I got to go?
Hot yoga?
No, stop. So I got a golf league that plays at Wicker Park on Tuesday with me and my high school buddies.
How is Wicker Park?
Oh, stop. So Wicker Park has been completely decimated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't really tell from but if you go up on Indianapolis Boulevard Bridge and you go really slow and you start looking and maybe put your phone, take a picture, and then enlarge it, it's just decimated, okay? Mm-hmm. Especially the golf course, but also there's a massive tree right by the playground. I'm surprised it didn't land on that stuff, but it's right there. And then they've dumped all the other stuff from Munster and Highland, and they're dumped it in there. Now,
is that where they're dumping
rumor
stuff?
has it that they're gonna put a one of those boxes in there, like that you throw the wood in there, and it's so hot and so tightly held that it doesn't create any smoke, but it just burns everything to ashes, and then you use it for fertilizer. Now, that's a rumor. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I can't. But so Centennial Golf Course has agreed to let us play over the league.
Okay.
But I have to go play 9 and then just submit my score, like with nobody watching, right?
Uh-oh.
I'm going to tell you what I'm submitting.
Yeah, what's your
score? Whether I shot a 38 on 9 at Wicker the other day and it screwed my handicap. I'm not doing that again. And I won't shoot a 47 or 8. I know exactly what I'll shoot. I'm going to shoot and submit a 43. There it is, right there.
There it is. That's how good he is, folks. He knows
exactly
ahead of
what
time.
It's going to be, right? Hey, guys, thanks a lot. I know this from the flood, okay, that the hardest radio that you're going to have to do going forward, Bob, is in the healing from the calamity.
Yeah.
And it was a full year of it on the radio and people calling in, and we held the fundraiser with the Civic Fund. I mean, it was a lot of stuff. We tried to be involved in the recovery efforts, but it is emotionally draining. Okay? I mean, it really is, because everybody's got a bad story, and people getting hit financially and people injured, like the homeless lady just talked about, just getting killed.
Yeah.
So be prepared. We are entering a phase of I guess it's recovery from disaster, but it's more of an emotional recovery and financial and very specific recovery. And it's going to be lengthy, and there's going to be a long-term effect. So, and you're going to be here dealing with it on every Friday. And
Here on WJOB.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Talk to you.
We'll be right back after this.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strachan Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
The best just got better. Tech Credit Union is proud to celebrate being recognized with Best of the Region, Best CEO, and Best Banker. To celebrate, we're offering 3 special CD offers with rates up to 4.5% APY for a limited time. Visit techcu.org or stop by your nearest Tech Credit Union branch or call 800-276-8324 to learn more. Tech Credit Union, the better option for people and communities we serve. Member NCUA. Minimum deposit required. Offer subject to change. Visit techcu.org for complete details.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 71, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 71, powering the region because we are the region.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention. Phones.
I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware of where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Welcome back to Bob on WJOB. I don't know. Without Brent here, I don't even have the graphic up if you're watching on the YouTubes. It's just Bob on a microphone right now. Jim stepped out to go play golf, of which he's going to score a 92 on a 9-hole run. And good on him for knowing that already. We'll take a quick look at traffic and weather. There was an earlier accident on 80 eastbound that appears to have been cleared, though traffic still looks like it's slow. 80 eastbound from Indianapolis back to almost I-65, traffic slow. Everything going into the city after the Skyway is slowing down. 94, 55, 294, all slowing down going into the city. The merge is... the merge look bad. I don't have a report as to why that is, but it does look like some of the more jammed up traffic that I've seen here on a Friday morning in a while. So if you're heading into the city, keep an eye out for that. Use your Googles or your Apple Maps and see if there's a different route. Lynette, how's the weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 65 degrees with highs of 82 and lows of 63. It's going to be mostly sunny today, and then tomorrow on Saturday we'll be having highs of 80 and lows of 67. Should be pleasant with intervals of clouds and sunshine. Then Sunday we'll be having highs of 88 and lows of 70 with sun and areas of high clouds and warm and humid.
We've got a bunch of calls. We'll get straight to them. 219-845-1100. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi. You know, in regard to people talking about how they play by the rules, they go ahead and pay their bills, pay their taxes, pay their insurance, wanting to know why they're not getting more help from the feds. It's like Shaka Khan saying years ago, "Tell me something new." This is just how the game goes. I mean, there's two kinds of people. They're the people that buy the hype, go to work, save their money, and plan for the future. And then there's the people that just refuse to do that and game the system and just float through life on the edges, doing whatever they got to do. And in order to keep peace in the land, this is the price of peace. You got to take care of the people that are ne'er-do-wells and that just refuse to, so-called do what they are told is right. And but it's been going on forever. I mean, look how many states mandate you got to have auto insurance to drive, but it seems like every time somebody hits you, they haven't got insurance. Right? You're still on the road. This is just the way it rolls. This isn't anything new.
You're right on that. We heard from Chuck earlier with his experience with FEMA and the 08 flood. That was the entire last half hour was talking about, well, should you do it? Do you need to do it? Again, disasterassistance.gov. We went there. There's a 2-minute video. We watched it, and they were very clear about. You submit everything, pictures, receipts, documentation, do all this stuff, but you also need to submit your insurance, what was approved, your insurance claim was approved, what was denied, and it makes it appear as though they would backfill any of those denials. Now, to your point, to Chuck's point, the folks who have, and I'll just use air quotes, done it right, meaning, I got homeowners insurance, maybe I got a little extra coverage, maybe I went ahead and splurged for the sump pump backflow insurance, which is a couple $100 more a year. Maybe I changed my deductible for, wind and hail damage. Maybe I've done some of those things where you're a smart consumer, an educated, a reasoned consumer, and you say, because I want to be as best covered as I can. So then when something bad happens, like what happened on the 11th, you're covered. And ostensibly you don't need assistance because you have provided your own assistance through insurance. Now, where the animosity comes in is then you see folks who said, well, I'm not doing any of that, and if something bad happens, someone will come and rescue me. Well, the rescue is with everyone's dollars. Now, if you're well insured and your house was hit and repaired and fine, your neighbor was not fine, it probably behooves you for them to get their house repaired and back up to condition for the property values of the entire community. So there's some value in that, but again, it's hard to paint with a big brush, other than for the folks that have done it right. Typically, there then is this animosity of, well, where's my check? Where's my stuff? I did it right. And, those are questions that we ask. I typically say, well, what helps you sleep at night is that you did it right. I don't know. It's a weird, broken world.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it's like Jesus talked about the story of the prodigal son, the one that worked his butt off and then their ne'er-do-well brother shows up, and the father's just as happy to see him, and he says, hey, what about me? This story's been going on for a long time. Yeah. And again, we're aware. I mean, you'll drive yourself crazy if you let it really bother. There's nothing you can really do about it. I mean, I'm in my mid-70s. I've carried insurance my whole life. That's probably my biggest cost of living is insurance.
Right.
And I think I've filed two claims in my entire life on house and car, and both times I got dropped after paying insurance all them years, and it's, and like you say, you got a lot of people just skating through life. They'll pick up a policy to get their registration, and they stop making the premiums, and they're still on the road, and what are you going to do? It's just to keep our society intact and to keep the country from burning. I guess this is just the premium
it's the premium of living in a first world society. But
yeah, it's an illusion. We're all gamed. It's like you're It's a psyop basically to keep the country productive and to keep enough people that don't understand what's really going on get up and go to work every day, and let a good portion of them, people just kick back and just flow through life. It is what it is, and like I said, I don't think it'll change. And the powers that be know this, I think, and it's just a big unsaid truth, you know. And it's a shame, but that's just the way it is. I mean, I've been victim of the same kind of thing. I know how it feels when you say, you know, I don't ask for anything, but then when I do, where's the help? But, you know, just it's not going to change. It's not going to change anytime soon.
Well, and someone made a comment here in the chat that, you know, for the folks that did it right, you know what's going to happen here. All of these claims to all of these insurance companies, you know all the rates are going to go up at some point. So the folks that are doing it right are going to continue to pay more for doing it right. And like you said, so you made a couple claims. You're either dropped or you see those premiums skyrocket. Isn't that the point of having insurance? Of hey, just in case something happens, just in case a tree decides to take flight and go through my front window, I'd like to have some backup here. And they say, okay, well, we'll get you this time, but that's going to be more expensive next time. You know, so
I think the whole idea of insurance and our federal so-called social blanket is just so they could sleep at night, you know, thinking that you've got protection and that kind of thing. When push comes to shove and you see what really happens, and it's a shock to reality. But otherwise, you just drive yourself crazy. I mean, you know, I can tell you stories about my history with insurance companies, but at the same time, when it comes to things like medical insurance, our system is so gamed that I was on a cancer medication one time. 1 month's supply of the pills, you know, 28 pills is $26,000.
Yeah.
And you know, the guy that actually was filling my prescriptions told me over the phone when I was like in shock to see what the price of this was, and my out-of-pocket cost on that was like $1,200 a month. And the guy at the pharmacy said, "Don't worry, we'll work our magic." Well, they know the system, they know how the game's played, and when it was all over and done with, I didn't. Thank God, because I satisfied the income levels with my taxable income. I was able to skate out of that out of pocket, and let alone the initial cost of the stuff, but you could probably go to Canada and buy the same thing for like about 25% of what they charge here. Yeah, and it's manufactured at the same place by the same people, so go figure. It's the system. What are you going to do?
You know, when you talk about
and I know people that hate the idea of Social Security. They think it's galloping communism and that. But I sympathize with them. It's a socialistic system. But you know what? I know people that flat out say that you should reject it. You shouldn't take it because they're playing the game of the socialists. Well, you know, I was born into it, and if I got to make my way through life and it's there, I'm taking it. Sorry, I'm taking it. So.
Yeah. No, and you know what? One day we'll have a show completely dedicated to health insurance stories like yours. Like you said, that Social Security. Really some people think that is it dipping into socialism? Is it dipping into whatever? Our medical health care insurance system is broken, but I can't think of something that's better. Everybody points to, single payer, but then you look at Canada and you got to wait, 6 months for a gallbladder surgery. Where here, if you walked into community hospital right now and they found something was wrong, they'd take care of you. And so,
and not only that, but once the socialists get hold of the system up in Canada, when you're in your late 70s or something. Hey, guess what, Pops? You live long enough, you know.
Yeah, you're good.
The money's not there for you. We got to save it for somebody that's a lot younger than you are.
Yeah.
So,
nope. I got you.
How it goes. You know, I hope the guy we never get it here. Like I say, people don't know what they're asking for when they ask for Medicare for all. That's one of the things.
Yeah, and just because something appears broken.
You look at Canada or England.
Yeah, just because something appears to be broken or is broken doesn't mean that the alternative is the solution. So that's my code for it. Hey, thanks for calling in. Appreciate your call. Have a good weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Next caller, thanks for calling in. What can we do for you?
Good morning.
Morning. What's a good word?
Well, I hope it was a good word, but I guess it's not a good word. But I appreciate you all at WJOB for covering this whole thing. We've all talked about it, and hopefully everything will be corrected, and we'll be back to norm. However, I talked to Lady Anita White Arnold. I don't know if you know her. She's the NAACP president in East Chicago.
Okay.
And Steve Mays is the NAACP president in Gary. And what my understanding, there will be supposed to be a march on Washington. And I haven't heard yet this here on any media. I'm not just saying WJOB, but somehow the president of the United States apparently made it very clear: don't come here to Washington. Now, if it's not true, I'm just saying this is what I understand just by talking to these people. So I'm not making up a story. That Donald Trump said, if you come here in those buses, you'll be arrested. Are you aware of that?
No, I didn't. What is this protest against?
The 63 protest? It happened there was one march on Washington where millions of people went to Washington, and it wasn't just about African American. It was all people, and peaceful protest, and it was a very peaceful protest. March on Washington. You ever heard about March on Washington in '63?
Yeah, I'm wondering what this. You said that he's telling folks not to come to Washington now to protest. Is there something organized?
My understanding, and I hope if Anita White Arnold is listening to the radio, I'd like for her to probably call in and give you a little more, because when because they asked me if I wanted to go to Washington on this. I think the thing's supposed to take place tomorrow, but the last one was where millions of march on Washington in 1963, and what the march was about is equal rights. It was about voting rights and all those things. And apparently, from my understanding, that Donald Trump indicated those buses. I think there was supposed to be about 8 or 10 buses going from this area and all clean across America. And I don't know if it's going to be a million, but it was a lot of people. But if somebody's listening to that, sir, and I'm sorry, when I heard about that, because they asked me if I'm going, I said, no, I'm not going. Because the reason I'm not going to go on a bus all night and then come back after the march, then without going to the hotel. I'm going to stay a day or so there, get a rest, but I couldn't deal with that. I'm an old man.
Well, I'm gonna move to a break here for a second. Yes, if someone is listening that has information on that, give us a call in. It'd be interesting to hear what the process is about. Just a quick search. There's no major, or widespread protests officially scheduled for Washington, D.C. this weekend. But if somebody knows of something, give us a call. We're going to take a quick break here. Hey, thanks for the call, and we'll be right back.
I'm Pastor Eric Boone, pastor of the Tree of Life Church here in the great city of Gary, Indiana, the Notre Dame Credit Union. Go beyond and above to make sure that we are in position to make that greater impact. Listen, this credit union is one of a kind, and I'm looking forward to the future because I know that we will continue to do greater things together, and I'm forever grateful for a credit union like this.
Visit NotreDameFCU.com.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention. Phones.
I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Have you ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of the trade. Find out more by calling the apprenticeship school in Lake Station at 219-962-7675 or visit ironworkers395.com.
Welcome back. Bob on the radio here, WJOB, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana, streaming live on the YouTubes everywhere. Just me and Lynette in the studio today. She's chatty as always. We've had to mute her microphone just so we could get some of the callers. And we've got dozens of you waiting, so let's get right to you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, I'm just sitting here. I had the radio on, listening to you, and I had my TV on Channel 2 News.
Okay.
And it was, I had the sound on the news on TV turned down, but I saw they had a thing there that says mobile registration for FEMA is in Crown Point today.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that interests anybody around here, but I didn't see any. I didn't have the sound on the TV, so I didn't get any details. But I think if you went to CBS Chicago News, you could probably get more details about it. But they said mobile registration for FEMA in Crown Point.
It's in Crown Point. Looks like today, it opens Friday today. It is at the Lake County Purdue Extension in Crown Point, located at 2291 North Main Street in Crown Point. And the hours, it just says until 4:30, so it doesn't tell me what time they open, but they're open until 4:30. It does say no appointments or specific documents are required to walk up and register. They'll bring your Social Security number, damage details, and insurance information will help speed up the process. So it does look like you can go to, let me get this one more time, disasterassistance.gov. You can apply there. There's a short video to watch. You can apply there. It does look like there are FEMA mobile registration in Northwest Indiana at the Lake County Purdue Extension in Crown Point at 2291 North Main Street. And it says that it says here Lake County mobile locations generally will operate until 4:30 p.m. So thanks for letting us know on that. And yes, it does. It says they start today.
Okay, guys, have a good day.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate that. They also give a number of a FEMA helpline at 800-621-3362. Again, the FEMA helpline is 800-621-3362. You can go to disasterassistance.gov to start a claim, or you can head over to Crown Point today until 4:30 at the Lake County Purdue Extension, 2291 North Main Street in Crown Point for the FEMA mobile registration. Thanks again for that call. We'll move on to the next one. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Bob, good morning.
Hey, what's the good word?
Hey, I was going to talk about this NIPSCO thing, but after Matlock's call, I'd like to touch on my white privilege, if that's okay.
No, it isn't.
I've never had a job. I never had a job, never served my country. I don't even pay NIPSCO. I just say, look at my face. I'm white. Give me mine. Hey, Reuters, in reference to Matlock's March on Washington, Reuters has a blurb here that says thousands march in Washington as leaders warn of voting and civil rights rollbacks. So it's talking about voting again.
The Save Act stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So here, I'm gonna be crass for 1 second, and I don't want the listeners saying, "Oh, you're not this." It's like the first thing, and again, this leads to some of that government animosity from folks. It's like you're able. This is going to sound awful, but I'm just going to say it. We're going to hear stories of folks that were able to find an ID, find a social security number, find all sorts of proof and documentation to get FEMA money. But as soon as you say, hey, can you give me like one or two of those things to vote? Then all of a sudden it's hey, you can't do that. You're, suppressing voter rights. And I think that's a fair tie-in to say that's where a majority of Americans say, look, having an ID, verifying that you're a citizen is not a problem. If you have a problem with it, Chuck always says this. Give him a call. He'll help you figure it out. But yeah, I get your point. I see exactly where you're going with it.
In reference to NIPSCO and this catastrophe, I'm kind of tired of hearing we're going to have to get through this emotional setback, Bob. This is going to be some of the toughest radio you've done. Emotionally, we're going to have to heal from this. Unless you lost a relative in this, and then my heart breaks for you, that would be absolutely terrible. You went without food or water, or you were in the dark for a week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks. How soft have we gotten? We have to get through this emotionally. My God, you're going to play 9 holes at Centennial today. How tough is life?
I don't disagree with you. For the folks that, like you said, if you lost someone, that's tragic. If you had a tree come through your house, and as someone who drove around for 2 weeks straight, we really are, at least in the areas that I drove, that's a stupid caveat I'll make, it appears as though a majority of the trees seem to find a way to not hit homes. Did some of them hit? Yes, it did. So I can see where that's going to be something that these folks are dealing with for a while. A majority of folks, their inconvenience was the power was out for a while and they lost the stuff in their fridge and freezer. I don't necessarily know that that is an emotional catastrophe. Certainly, if you've got a bunch of mouths to feed, it's inconvenient, it's stressful. But as soon as the power gets back on, as soon as you can get back out there, it's done. Some of these folks will have to deal with stuff for quite a bit longer. But I don't know. See, Jed pulls a lot of his stuff. Same with Chuck from the flood, and we just in Dyer, the whole hospital flooded, but I don't recall.
How long ago was the flood?
Oh, I know. That's why I say
flood.
That's why I started this by saying we're going to be talking about this for 20 years because we're still talking about the flood.
Good gosh! Hey, on Dabberton's show, the better show, the one that's better than yours.
No, I've never heard of that. T-Dabs, the call-in show. Yeah.
Yeah, the best show on WJOB. He spoke of the rate hikes that NIPSCO was asking for in the middle of this debacle. You're familiar with that?
I saw it on social media. Did they ask for 2 or 3? I think one was. I think someone said one was filed the day of, and 1 or 2 were filed, within the following week. I think that's the story.
Why would they have the audacity to do that?
So this is one thing that I don't understand about filing. And so this is as much cover as I'm going to throw their way. I don't know if these are automatic things that are required by certain dates to file. But having said that, talk about bad optics. We all know that every utility everywhere is constantly going for rate hikes. You can't go a year without Comcast, AT&T, all these guys. Everybody's raising their rates. These guys just have to do it publicly. And to do it when, they admit themselves, this was the largest outage in the company history, I think was what they were going with for a while. And you go for rate increases then, that won't go over well. And but I'd also don't understand why they did 3. Again, that's my own ignorance as to why they did that.
So this Vince Parisi, if you do a Google search on him, and we know how accurate that can be, they say his salary package is somewhere in the area of $12 to $13 million. So he's the CEO, and he asked for 3 different rate hikes. I mean, he's got to be part of that, right, as the CEO?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Let's say you're a blue-collar wife. Say you're the wife of a fireman. If you run into Vince Parisi, what do you say to him after all of this? Or do you just let it go? Do you say, hey, I know you were trying to do your best? Or do you ask him, what were you thinking? Asking for 3 rate hikes when people were trying to get through this latest situation. And the one you had before that affected Maryville so much. What do you say to the guy?
Yeah, looking here, just for those folks listening here, reading this, there were 3 separate adjustment requests in August of 26, averaging $7.33 per month starting November 1st. Costs customers about $88 more a year. Proposed start November 1st, pending state review. It says these were routine, semi-annual, or quarterly tracker adjustments. That, a lot of folks use trackers, but that's rotten timing for that. To say, hey guys, you're out of power. Biggest disaster we've had since the flood. That's for you, caller. And to say, by the way, we need another 730 from you. That's a tough ask.
Thanks for your time, Bob.
Hey, have a good one. Thanks for calling in. We'll take one more call, and then we'll take a break. And we're going to go till about 8:30 this morning, and then hang around for 9 o'clock for Veterans Views. So we'll take one more caller here for right now. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Bob. What's going on? It's Coos.
Hey, I was talking to Jim this morning, and come in sometime. Me and you.
Yeah, I will. I'm actually sitting in a driveway waiting for a crew, and we're on a job from the June 11th tornado that hit Maryville. So I did listen to the last call, and I've been in what I call the bush the last couple of weeks, and where I'm at now, this was from earlier in June. So there's varying degrees of pain throughout Northwest Indiana. This particular individual here has a son with special needs, and his garage had a tree through it, so it's going on a couple months now.
Yeah.
So we're able to try to get this going. So I just want people to understand that there's a lot of pain out there, and just because you tell people that it's affecting you doesn't make you weak. About a week ago, I had a tough moment just because when you're dealing with people's despair, if you don't feel it, then you don't have any empathy. And I'm not here to preach. If you don't feel it, then you don't feel it. That's up to you. You need to go look in the mirror. But for all those people that are suffering out here, there's a lot of people here that do have empathy. And I called to try to give some information to help. There are 4 sites that are open for FEMA.
Okay.
4 sites. One is in Munster. If you go online, you probably could read them. But there are 4 sites. One is in the parking lot at the county center, the Purdue building. One is the Lions Club at Community Park in Munster. There's one in Hobart, and then there's another spot. I think there's one of the union halls in Gary. So I tell everyone, because I've been through this, go fill out however you can, get registered with FEMA. You're not going to be made whole, but a lot of people are going to get checks from $3,000 to $5,000. Every situation is a little different, and I most certainly would take full advantage of that because a lot of people have been hurt out here. The other thing that's going to be helpful is for all the people, we have to pay our taxes, our property taxes. I know it's not the first thing on your mind right now, but we should have the assessor, LaTanya Spearman, on. because you're going to get, for those people whose houses were decimated and they're not going to live in them, and the value is much lower than what it was when it was assessed, there is a form that you fill out for next year's taxes, and that is considerable. If you're not going to be able to live in your house, and both of my daughters will not be living in their house for a considerable amount of time, if there's considerable amount of damage, it's a reassessment form. I would ask people to do that to help themselves out. That's very helpful. And, those are the things that we should try to be coming down on. The last thing, if you give me a second here about NIPSCO, multiple things could be true about NIPSCO. NIPSCO is a monopoly, and we live in a capitalistic society, and monopolies, and if you look at the history, that's why we try not to have them, is they get to do what they want when they want. And that's what NIPSCO's done, because you can't go somewhere else. There's 350 construction companies in Northwest Indiana. I told Brent this the other day. There's 10 barbecue places. So supply and demand keeps the prices the way that they are. When you only have one, NIPSCO gets to do what they want. And they have done what they wanted. And the reason that Vince Parisi and the previous CEOs make the money they do is because in a corporation, in a capitalistic society, CEOs get paid just like Roger Goodell is going to get paid by the NFL to bring back money to the stockholder. That's their goal.
Right.
And he's done a good job of that. He's done a great job of that. So they will get rewarded. Now, how did they pay so much to the stockholder? Well, they've obviously had deferred maintenance on things like the poles and all the other things and cutting trees. I mean, so if you really want to do something and you're an elected official, it is the election is November, correct? Aren't all
Yep.
the Senate, half the Senate and every state rep that's running is on the ballot? Where if you want to actually change the way that we operate in Northwest Indiana from a utility standpoint, then where are the state reps and the senators saying that they're going to advance legislation to bring in an additional utility company here? So to get rid of the monopoly. Well, I haven't heard of any of that. And the reason being is this is capitalism. You look to Illinois and the Democrats with Commonwealth Edison. There's a guy that's in jail that was in charge for 50 years, and there's a couple people from Commonwealth Edison that are in jail. And look to Indiana, where for all the people that call in here that are Republicans, I mean, you have to be fair, Bob. The Republican Party has been in charge forever in the state of Indiana, and who are they in bed with? They are in bed with NIPSCO. And all you have to do is go downstate and deal with Eisen Miller or Barnes and Thornburg or anyone else, and nothing gets done in this state without the lobbyist okaying it. And the lobbyists are the ones that give money to the people that run, and the parties are in bed with different groups, and that's how legislation gets passed or how it gets stopped. So we're a mirror image of each other here in Indiana and Illinois. Illinois is in bed with the Democrats, and you see what that's like. There's people in jail. And Indiana is in bed, the Republicans, with NIPSCO. So all you have to do is look at all the people that have been executives in NIPSCO, not only, and they're not bad people, I know most of them. When they retire from NIPSCO, they then take leadership positions in Northwest Indiana. And they're very qualified individuals. Look at the list of people over the last 25 years that have retired from NIPSCO and then became a head of this or that or this or that, and we accept it. So as long as we, the voter, continue to accept a monopoly, then this is what you're going to get.
Well, and I think when we
cry on the radio all you want, or you can vote and go in. I guarantee you, Bob, if you went, you felt it when you got left out when the train was going on, or you didn't feel that Governor Braun gave you the time of day. Try going down to Indianapolis and tell the Republicans that that Hal Slager is going to put legislation that is going to take the antitrust law away from NIPSCO, and that we're going to bring in competition, whether it be Commonwealth Edison or NICE or all the other places, that you'll get laughed out of the room.
Right. Well, and so for folks out there,
all this is venting.
The point of the monopoly is to say, look, okay, we're giving you a monopoly. We're giving you the franchise rights for power and energy distribution in this area. Whether NIPSCO has it up here, you've got CenterPoint, Duke, all the different arms. You've got that. So the point of a monopoly is to say, and folks can correct me if I'm wrong, and that's fine, is to say, look, focus on reliability. You don't need to worry about making a buck because you're going to make a buck. You're the monopoly. You're going to make money. Focus on reliability. You don't need to worry about competition. Focus on reliability. And when that gets set aside,
because what happens if you don't? So what happens? So there's an argument over who was in charge of the vegetation. And this one, and as I said, multiple things could be true at the same time. I stand by my statement that what NIPSCO did and all the other companies that came in here and got us all back in power after the devastation in 2 weeks was miraculous. And they deserve a clap for the people that are pulling the lines, the people that have been working for nonstop. Those are the people that we should be clapping for. Now, on the other side, when you get to, there's been deferred maintenance. There's been deferred maintenance because when you run a company, it's the same thing when you run your household. If you want to defer something, then you take that money and you spend it on something else. What they did is they deferred maintenance and they spent less money on operations and they made more of a profit, which then they gave to the stockholder, which is what the role of a CEO is, and then they were rewarded. And you can look all the way back to Gary Neal, who's passed away, that took a $15 million golden parachute. Every CEO in the last 25 to 50 years of NIPSCO, and see what kind of golden parachute they had. In our lifetime, we needed Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt came in and broke up a lot of businesses. The last big ones in our lifetime was Ma Bell and some of the others. If you want meaningful change in Northwest Indiana when it comes to utilities, then it needs to start in Indianapolis. And we need to have legislation where we have multiple suppliers of energy so that they have to compete against each other, so that when you as a consumer, you could say, I either want NIPSCO or Commonwealth Edison or Duke or someone else. Right now, you only have one. So they can do what they want, and then they get their way. Here's the real test. Mike Braun is put new people on the IURC. Let's see how they act. Let's see if they deny the rate increase that NIPSCO is asking for. Let's see if they came back and said, we'll give you more money, but we're going to put we're going to do a test on you. You need to come back and tell us about your reliability. If you've been looking at NIPSCO, they have the highest rate and not very good reliability. Those are bad things.
Right.
So what are you going to do to solve it? I understand people bitching and moaning. I deal with it all day long. But none of that's changing. And as far as, you get one opportunity. I've been through this in 2008 with the flood, and I'm through this. You get one opportunity for people to listen to you. And then the next big thing's going to come on. So if I were in Gary or I was in some of those areas, and you get one ask right now. So I would not go with this is a racist thing. That's not going to get you anywhere. What improvements do you want? I mean, Miller Beach was one of the last areas to get reconnected. Have you ever driven through Miller Beach? Do you know how hilly it is? Do you know how difficult it is to actually get into those areas where you have all these trees, everything all over the place, to get to the actual lines to fix those?
Well, and there's some of that too, and I'm going to wrap up here because we're at the top of the hour. But there is some of that too. So to say someplace like, Crown Point, Winfield, they got on right away. Well, that's because a majority of their infrastructure now is underground. You fix one source point and everybody's back on. You go into places where they're established homes from the 40s and 50s and 60s. Everything's above ground, and every single wire needs to be inspected because there's possible damage. So it's just going to take longer.
60 feet tall. In the trees are 60. I'm sitting right here on the 4900 block of Cleveland. Still, I'm literally parallel with the electrical line, and I'm looking, and it's about 10 feet, and there's oak trees that are 60 feet, 10, 20 feet higher than the lines. If the next storm comes, I should take a picture and show it to you. It's going to knock it right over. We have to start asking ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you that if a similar storm happened today, and I don't want people to freak out, just look at your power lines and look at the nearest tree. What do you think would happen if it tips over?
And with that, we're going to
knock them down again.
We're going to take a break here, top of the hour. You're listening to WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. Streaming live on the YouTubes. Thanks, Coos, for the call. Stop in sometime. We'll be right back.
Tech Credit Union supports the essential role of union labor in building strong communities. That's why we offer hassle-free banking, financial empowerment, and a commitment to your success. Save for the future, handle life's challenges, and trust a partner that stands by hardworking union members. Tech Credit Union, the better option for you and your money. Visit techcu.org or call 800-276-8324. Tech Credit Union, supporting union families every step of the way.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones. I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and the last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
Enjoy the taste of summer at the Farmers Market at Fox Point. Every Tuesday from 9 to 1, shop locally grown fresh produce, delicious baked goods, artisanal treats, and local culinary creations. Just minutes from I-8094, the Farmers Market at Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is a perfect spot to hear acoustic musicians, stretch with morning yoga, and enjoy community fun throughout the season. To see all vendors and entertainment, visit foxpoint.org. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
Welcome back. We've got about 20-25 minutes left here. We'll get through some calls, a quick run of traffic and weather, because you know my traffic is just extraordinary. It does look like recently there was another crash, but this one is 80 westbound between Klein and Kennedy. Over there, it looks like there's an accident there. But again, most of the westbound traffic on 8094 is, especially up to Indianapolis, is very slow. Going into the city, starting at the merge, it slows down. Going all the way into the city, Skyway looks just fine at this moment. How's the weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 68 degrees with highs of 82 and lows of 63. It's going to be it's going to be pleasant with sunshine and a few clouds. Then tomorrow and Saturday we'll be having highs of 80 and lows of 67. Should be pleasant with intervals of clouds and sunshine. Then Sunday we'll be having highs of 88 and lows of 70 with sun and areas of high clouds, warm and humid. Before we move on, I do have to mention the hydrant flushing in Hammond will begin on September 8th, 2026. The flushing will start on the north side of the city and proceed southward. This will take approximately 6 to 8 weeks as we enter the different sections of the city. People may experience some discoloration in the water. If they let the cold water run for a few minutes, it should clear up. The water will be safe to drink during the flushing.
We're doing something similar in Dyer. We just posted it, I don't know, a day or so ago. Yesterday, just to let folks know that, yes, hydrant flushing is very important because you want to make sure that all those hydrants aren't just stopped up with gunk, and that's really what it is, just stuff in the line when you need them, so they go flush them. And we tell our folks the same thing, you might temporarily see some cloudy water. It's completely normal. Just run your tap for a little bit and you'll be fine. So someone in the chat here, we've got a couple calls. We've got about 20 minutes left. But someone in the chat asked if there was any talk on the missed days of school and how they will be made up. Now, I know nothing, which is a complete sentence, but for this, I don't know what their process is other than to say, I do know that the Lake Central School Board has been discussing, there evidently is a waiver that the individual school districts can apply for when you're in this type of a state of emergency, the declaration of emergency, whatever you want to call it, that they can apply for a waiver. And as far as I got on the article with that they said they were weighing whether or not to do that. And I think for Lake Central, who's typically out the end of May, that this would go into the end of the first week of June. So for me as a parent, man, I got things I want to do. School gets a lot of Liam. I like them home and doing stuff with them. So I'm kind of hoping they apply for the waiver because let's face it, that last week they're done. They're done with school. It's going to be I don't want to necessarily say playtime, but you know what it's going to be. So. Yeah, I would say that they should probably apply for the waiver. My guess is it will be granted. And chalk it up to a learning experience for the kids as this is what happens in a natural disaster. Anyways, we're going to get to the calls. We've got a few left before the end of the show. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, the people who called in earlier complaining that why is it that the people who play by the rules act responsibly and so forth, when it comes to asking for a benefit from the federal government, they get stiff-armed. Well, that's the reason we need strict border laws to allow to protect people who act responsibly. And that was the case in this country until the mid-'60s. My wife is an immigrant from Europe in the early 60s, and she is appalled by what has happened to immigration laws in that when she was an immigrant from Europe, they made very clear to her that she had to be self-reliant, that if she stopped working, guess what would happen to her? She would be sent back to Europe.
Yeah.
And that's the way it used to be, very strict. But what changed that was the Democrats back in the mid-'60s when the Democrats took control of, they were over. They had the presidency, and they had overwhelming control in the House and the Senate. And instead of protecting our social welfare system, they opened the doors to, instead of emphasizing self-reliance, emphasizing allowing people in who brought skills or businesses, they just opened the doors. And Biden went even one step further. He opened the borders. 10 to 15 million people allowed to flood into the country. And the Democrats, for example, they've allowed non-citizens to vote in liberal areas like New York, for example, or take Illinois, another liberal area. They opened the doors to non-citizens to get Medicaid, for example. And they did that until it became so expensive they had to stop it, kind of thing. But that is, instead of emphasizing border security, national security, protecting the law-abiding, productive, responsible citizen, they want the political power by allowing large numbers of people to flood in. If the Democrats are given power again, they will open those doors again. And this time, it is going to. It's going to make the last time look like a Tea Party. Now take Chuck. He's a smart guy in a lot of ways, but he's a libertarian. Guess what was the standard policy of libertarians? And now the libertarians now don't like to talk about this, but I remember the days. You go back to the 80s and the 90s and so forth. They were very adamant. They were very aggressive, promoting open borders kind of thing. And it's been a disaster. And in a way, Chuck is paying the price of his political affiliation. As a libertarian.
First off, I think the line is, Chuck's a nice guy. Chuck's really smart, but he's a libertarian. A lot of times I like to think that I have libertarian leanings, and those are the self-reliance, the independence. But it's a two-party system, and if you're going to, it makes no sense to stand outside of the tent and scream. Get in the tent and make some change. The Libertarian Party is interesting. As much as there may be infighting on the Republican side or on the Democrat side, some of these libertarians have such extreme litmus tests for each other that it's hard to see. I think there are conservative Republican libertarians and there are the liberal Democrat libertarians, and so and I wouldn't even count them as the independent voters out there. It's such a I feel bad saying an odd group of people, but I don't know. I think that's probably why they don't make a stronger third-party stance, is because, like you said, they're dealing with libertarian decisions and policies from years ago that didn't work out, and now where do you go with it? And I think for the most of them, I think if you're going to pick a party, pick the Republican Party, but, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you feel about libertarian? You say you have libertarian leanings. How do you feel about their longstanding policies of open borders? That you still support their open borders policy?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'd support an open border policy. Where I say that oftentimes I can line up with the libertarians is their self-reliance. What I think is interesting about the Libertarian Party is they point out without offering a solution, but they point out the corruptions and the deficits for both the Republican and the Democrat Party, which there are many. And they I for me, that's probably the water's edge is, well, what's your solution? If you say you're libertarian, vote Republican, get elected, and then change it how you see fit. But we don't see that.
Well, here's another libertarian policy: legalization of all illegal drugs, and I'm talking about hard drugs. I attended this goes back over 10 years ago, and at a conference in Chicago, and one of the speakers was the governor of New Mexico, a libertarian. And he spoke openly about the legalization of pot, okay? And during the Q&A, I raised my hand, and I said to him, okay, you say you want to legalize pot. How about the hard drugs, like heroin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Yes, absolutely. And when he was talking about marijuana, I could tell from the audience reaction to him that they thought that was fine. But as soon as he started talking about the hard drugs, the change stopped. The sympathy stopped immediately. And so, where do you stand on legalization of hard drugs?
Oh, I'm not for legalization, and I don't prefer the legalization of marijuana in Indiana. Now, every other state around us has it. Even Braun has mentioned at some point we will. And we'll do the steps like everyone else did. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next session or two we move for medical marijuana, and then shortly after that to ease folks into it within a decade. It wouldn't surprise me if Indiana is a marijuana legal state. And so, but no, to your point here, and we're going to wrap up because I've got one more call before we end the show.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me note to you this. There are more pot smokers in this country than tobacco smokers. Now, as a non-smoker, a non-drinker, I like people driving their cars sanely.
Yeah.
Well, what I have seen during tobacco does not affect your brain. Pot does. And what I've noticed over the years is more reckless driving, busting through stoplights, stop signs, and so forth. To me, it's there's an obvious correlation there in terms of the growth of pot smoking and irresponsible driving.
Hey, thanks for the call, Walt. And I'll agree with you. When you're driving now, if you're driving and you smell it, I just play games like Illinois plate, and 9 times out of 10 I'm right. It's an Illinois plate, and for me it's just I don't like it. I also don't like mushrooms on my pizza. I don't. Everybody's got an opinion, so that's what there is. We're going to take one more call, and then we're going to wrap it up for the day. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
What's up, Roberto?
Way, man, how you doing?
Doing good. Hey, about some of these guests you're telling us stop by, don't do that, dude. You will lose your entire show. You won't get a word in edgewise, okay? Do not make that fatal mistake. So regarding pot, so your wonderful, honest, totally insane liberal newspaper called the New York Times about 4 months ago had a very well in-depth long article about pot in America. And it turns out when you add up the revenues and expenses, because only like the idiots in Illinois and Michigan, they add up only the revenue. And there's no expense for any idiotic thing they do, like legalizing marijuana. Or you can use Oregon and Washington as examples. They made legal psychedelic drugs. And then when it turned out, all the rehab facilities in the state not only were jam-packed filled with regular citizens, and the waiting lists were over a year long, it dawned on them that maybe legalizing drugs was an absolutely asinine idea, and that we're just stupid and we don't understand human nature. Because when you give stuff away, there's always unintended consequences that liberals with their heads so firm up their ass can't see. Now in California, I happen to have a relative in the legalization distribution of marijuana, and they don't know why they can't make money. They don't understand why over 50% of the people in the legal weed business are over 2 years behind in their property and income taxes from their legal business of distributing marijuana. Because when you open the door to legal weed, guess who makes a better deal for all the druggies? The cartels. That's why they own half the fields in California. They put them under different names. They LLC them, and nobody knows who the hell owns them. But the pot is 80 feet high, and they can't harvest it fast enough for all the idiots doing these drugs. It's the same in Illinois. It's the same in Michigan. It's the same in every single state. They look at the revenue. The expenses don't even occur to them because that's not what a politician can do. The day we go legal is going to be a tragedy. Now, I'll get to one more thing real quick.
Speaking of bringing guests in where I can't get in a word in edgewise, I'm kidding. Keep going.
Yeah, but it's all good though. It's quality. So when Jimmy came in and said the toughest radio we're going to do is getting. Listen, this storm lasted an hour and it was over. There's a guy in Munster right now with a tree smashed into his house. Not a big one, and it ain't leaving his house, and it's still there. And it hit a spare bedroom. And the family's like, what are we going to do? Well, what do you mean what are we going to do? Well, how are we going to live? Where are we going to get a hotel? No. We're going to go in there, take the toys out, close the door, and we're not going back in there. The rest of the house is fine. Toughen up, folks. But so you know, I'm suffering from some things, Bob.
We know.
Called,
clearly.
Not PSTD. I'm suffering from GOOG, which is generator out of gas traumatic disorder.
Oh.
I was suffering from that.
So when you hear a gas motor start to that triggers something.
I hit the floor, put a pillow on my head, and smash my head with a hammer, so I don't have to experience the trauma of that. Then I switched over to TFOM, which is free falling on me post-traumatic stress disorder. Now I've shifted because my sub pumps aren't working. I've got WDMIMB, which is water. Water accumulated in my basement post-traumatic.
It's a lot of big words this early in the morning for you, brother.
I'm still recovering from 2008, Bob. Is there? Oh, wait a minute. There's that's Nisa at my door. They're telling me a flood's coming. Hey, Bob, I gotta go hide.
Hey, have a good one.
I've got more disorders coming. I'll fill you in on Friday what other ones.
No doubt. How about this? 8:22 every Friday. You call in with whatever new disorders you've discovered over the week. And he's gone. Well, look at that. We've made it through another day here on the radio. Talking about a few things. We went over disasterassistance.gov is the site that most places are driving folks to if you're going to apply for some type of disaster relief or assistance. Disasterassistance.gov. You can apply there. I would recommend, there's a 2-minute video. We did it earlier on the show. We watched it. And I would recommend, because I think that sets expectations. It basically says, look, you can, if you've got damage, take pictures of it, document the repairs, keep the receipts, pictures, all of this paperwork that you'll need for it, Social Security card, all this identification, everything that evidently you can't find a vote, but you'll need for this. But it says, we also want your insurance policy, the claim you made against your insurance, and what was approved and what was denied. And based on stories that we hear anecdotally, if your insurance covered something, FEMA's not going to, double pay you for something. We talked about the argument of, well, is that necessarily fair? Is that for the folks who, I've had a homeowner's insurance policy on my house for the last 15 years, never took out a claim. I did everything right, paid for all of my premiums, paid for additional riders. Maybe that's the cost of living in a first world society, is that you pay a bunch of things that sometimes you never get back out. Disasterassistance.gov. There is a mobile FEMA registration in Crown Point. One of the callers mentioned there's a couple others in some of the other communities. If you live in those communities, it sounds like Munster, Hobart. They may have some. Those communities will reach out to you. When we get a list of those, we'll put it on our socials and put it up. But today until 4:30, they start today. FEMA mobile registration at the Lake County Purdue Extension at 2291 North Main Street in Crown Point. They specifically say no appointments or specific documents are required to walk up and register. But if you bring your information, Social Security number, damage details, insurance info, it'll speed up the process. So that's it. At last I checked, we were at 60-some for an outage on the outage map, which is aside from the 60 folks that are without a power, and that is operating area wide. It looked like the farthest one was out in South Bend, so maybe not even anything damage related or storm related. Whatever we think about the municipalities and the big corporations, thanks again to all of the hard workers that are got everybody back online with power and are cleaning up the streets now. That's all I have today. Chuck on Monday is going to talk about the debt. Surprise, surprise, $40 trillion. It was like a birthday party for Chuck. I'm sure that there were streamers that went off when that hit $40 trillion. I haven't looked at my schedule to know if I'll be here on Monday. All depends on work. We'll be back next Friday with Brent to talk about all sorts of good things. Lynette, do you have anything to add? You've been so chatty today.
I do, but I can't talk about it on air yet.
That's the whole point of radio. You can't come on the radio and say, I have something to say, and then dead air. All right, everyone. Well, we're going to hold Lynette's feet to the fire, and hopefully next week she'll regale us with whatever fantastic news she has. Until then, have a great weekend.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones.
I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting your